he's asked, how big can elephants' tusks get? So the largest recorded tusks are actually 3.5 metres long. As you can see with our two girls here, their tusks aren't quite that long. They will maintain them throughout their lives, so their tusks do continuously grow, and then they use them for digging holes in the paddock so they can have mud wallows. If they have big logs and stuff, they'll use them to rub the bark off, so they will actually wear them down themselves. So they usually don't quite get to 3.5 metres long.
We've had a question from Alfie, who's aged 13, who is just asking, do we have any fun facts about slender snouted crocodiles? So here is Caroline. She is aged 22 and she's lived here for about 15 years of her life. So slender snouted crocodiles have a very long and thin snout or nose, and this is really well adapted to helping them catch fast fish in the water compared to other types of crocodiles. She also likes to hide under lots of leaves and branches in the wild, and this helps her camouflage under the water and make her feel safe. So here at Colchester Zoo, we like to replicate that by adding lots of bamboo branches and large leaves for her to hide under and move around the pool as she likes to feel safe.
Esme Teasdale, aged 12, would like to know how long an otter can hold its breath underwater. So the answer to that is around 6 minutes for an adult otter. It'll be a little bit less for the babies until they get used to holding their breath. So you can see they're all diving here where we put the food in. They're all diving down to the bottom of the pool looking for that fish that's down there, and this little guy's just come up with some. So yeah, around 6 minutes.
Harry has asked, why are rhinos not born with a horn?
That's a very good question. So rhinos aren't born with a horn because they suckle from their mum for about a year to a year and a half. So they need to be able to reach underneath mum without hurting her.
Ella, aged 9, would like to know how to become a zookeeper when she's older and what qualifications she might need. So the zookeepers here at Colchester have got various different degrees, from national diplomas, different degrees in all sorts of different things. So there's no real one answer as to what qualification that you need. One of the best ways to get in is to do volunteering within a zoo, do an internship programme, just to get a feel for what being a zookeeper is like, but also lots of practical experience. So volunteering at your local stables or a cattery and kennels, anything like that, just to kind of get that practical experience of working around animals, just to get a bit of a kingship with them and things like that. So no real one answer, but just lots of experience.
So we've got another question from Declan, age 6, and he has asked, do elephants drink with their mouths or through their trunks? So adult elephants, like these two here, will drink through their trunks. So they'll go up to a body of water or the water drinkers that we have in the house, and they'll put their trunk in and they'll actually use muscles in their trunk to suck the water all the way up to the top. And they can hold about 6 or 7 litres in their trunk, depending on the size of the elephant. And then what they'll do is actually put their trunk up into their mouth. You can see Opal's mouth just here. So put it right underneath into her mouth and then blow the water out from there.
So this is a question from Harry, age 7, and he would like to know, why do sloths move so slowly?
Hi Harry, that's a really great question. So the sloths move really slowly, basically just because of what they eat. So in the wild, they're eating a lot of food that doesn't have a lot of energy in it and a lot of calories. So calories are what give us a lot of energy to be able to go around in our day, being really busy, getting things done. So sloths, because they're not eating that high energy food, it takes them a little bit longer to do things.
So Esme, aged 12, has asked, why do giraffes sleep standing up?
That is a really good question, Esme. So the reason for that is because in the wild, when they're sat down, they are quite vulnerable to predators. So they get by on about 20 minutes of sleep a day, and they do this just standing up, having little power naps. But here at the zoo, they know that there's no predators, so they will actually sit down and relax. We even provide them with little beds so they can get all comfortable.
We have a question from Violet, age 4, and she wanted to know, how loud can a lion roar? So this is Bailey behind us. He can actually roar at 114 decibels, which can reach up to 5 miles. Now, to give a context of that, that is as loud as a live rock music festival. So very, very loud indeed.
So we've got another question from Oliver, age 3, and he says, how do elephants stop themselves from getting sunburned? So our elephants have actually got quite dark skin, you can see all over their body. They do have a nice little pink tongue, just like that, but the rest of their skin is quite dark, so it's a little bit more protected from the sun. As well as that, they actually do go around and they'll use the mud that's in the paddocks to sort of push it into their trunk, and then they'll throw it over their backs, and that helps to protect them from the sun as well, and also from bug bites. So you see Opal just here normally, at the moment she's actually just playing with the mud, but she will scoop it into her trunk using her feet and then throw it over her back as well.
Okay, Chloe, age 6, would like to know what mischief otters can get into. So this is an example of how mischievous they can be. You can see they like to play with barrels. Otters can also be seen juggling stones and acorns and all sorts of other bits and pieces. They also like to chase each other around. They'll hide in all the bushes inside the enclosure, chasing each other about and just generally getting themselves in all kinds of trouble with different toys in the enclosure.
Oliver, age 5, wants to know how fast ostriches can run.
Good question, Oliver. I'm here with our female Doris, and Doris is actually pretty quick. She can get up to about 45 miles an hour.
So this question is from Brandon, age 10, and he would like to know how long do our meerkats live for, and will we be breeding our group anymore? So meerkats in the wild tend to live around 10 years of age. However, in captivity, where they have got food provided for them and nothing to worry about hurting them, they are able to live a bit longer. Pippa, the head of our meerkat mob and mum to all of the rest of the boys here, is actually 13 years of age. So she is a little old now to be having any more babies, and so with this group we won't have any more babies.
We have a question from Freddie, age 6, and he'd like to know whether our chimpanzees eat meat. So that's a great question. Here in the zoo they don't actually have any meat. We do give them eggs as part of their diet, and they also get something called a pellet, and this has got all the nutrients in it that they might get from meat out in the wild.
We've got another question as well from George, age 4, and he says, why do elephants have trunks? So elephants use their trunk basically like a fifth limb. So they've got 4 legs and they do have a trunk which they use as like a prehensile arm. So kind of the same way that you use your hand to pick up food and feed yourselves, the elephants do the same thing with their trunks. And because they're very large and because they can't actually get their head that low to the ground very easily, it is a lot easier for elephants to use their trunk to put food into their mouth the same way as they drink water as well. You might just be able to see Opal drinking out of a puddle just over there at the moment.
So we have a question from TJ, who's 5, and he actually wants to know why male lions have a mane, like Bailey here, and why females, like our female Naja, do not. Well, for the males, it makes them look big and strong, so the larger the mane, the darker the mane, the more dominant they are. And here he is coming out with that lovely mane of his. But also, it really helps protect them as well. So if they do have other males in the area competing for females, they want to make sure that their mane and their neck is protected. So that lovely thick mane there, make sure that that vulnerable area around the neck is protected.
George would like to know, how fast can cheetahs run?
Hi George, what a great question to ask about our cheetahs. Bassie's obviously very impressed with it. So cheetahs can reach very high speeds, so they're the fastest land mammal. We would expect them to reach 60 to 75 miles out in the wild.